Yae Miko is coming, boys, and with that, you must be foaming at the mouth at our foxy shrine maiden. Aside from the gaping hole of anxiety from the uncertainty of attaining her, sweet baby Mihoyo, please bless her pulls. When you do get her in a week's time, you should be asking yourself in preparation, what's her best free-to-play 4-star weapon? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. It's your Slime King, Dojima Man, and welcome to another video. Let's get to the title of the video right away. I believe that Hakushin Ring will be Yae Miko's most free-to-play friendly weapon. Hakushin Ring is a 4-star craftable catalyst that provides 565 base attack and 30.6 ER at level 90. When you trigger an electro-based reaction, this provides 10 to 20% damage bonus for both elements that triggered the reaction. So for example, in electro-charged teams where Yae will most likely be used, that gives bonuses to both Hydro and Electro. This weapon has rarely been talked about primarily because really only Kokomi and Lisa can use this weapon effectively, and those two aren't exactly the most popular DPSs in the game right now. So, before we look into the pros and cons of Hakushin Ring, make sure to stick around to the end of the video to find out which weapon truly is the best weapon for Yae for your context. Now, we go to the pros. It provides an ER substat to feed Yae's huge 90 cost burst. It has higher base attack that takes advantage of Yae's higher multiplier talents. It provides team utility in the form of damage percent buffs for the entire team, especially at higher refine. It is very accessible as it only requires you to craft it in the blacksmith. It has 100% uptime on effects, we'll get into that later. And lastly, it looks aesthetic as fuck. I mean, look at it, the whole motif just strikes you as a catalyst of a shrine maiden, does it not? And unfortunately, there are cons to this weapon. Its passive effect isn't as substantial as other options. The substat is not helpful in building Yae for optimal crit ratios. It does not give the most damage possible to Yae, aka damage per screenshot. And the lower refines of this weapon might not be worth it if you have other options or weapons already on higher refine. And lastly, it needs higher refine in order to truly fulfill its potential in team buffing. So, what are the other options then? If we are looking at a purely free-to-play perspective, Solar Pearl would be thrown out of the window as it is a battle pass weapon. However, I would just throw in that it is a good middle ground weapon for Yae if you happen to have it. It is a good choice. Then, the only other 4-star weapon worth mentioning is the Widsith. Theoretically, Widsith is Yae's best-in-slot 4-star free-to-play weapon if you can get it the gacha. But now, I'll get into why it is not as good as you think it is. Briefly, Widsith has 510 base attack, 55 crit damage, and an effect called Debut. A random effect between an attack increase, elemental damage increase, or EM increase that will be activated for 10 seconds with a cooldown of 30. All these buffs increase Yae's damage significantly. The attack and damage percent more so than the EM. And the more it finds, the more its DPS output gets closer to Kagura's Verity, Yae's signature weapon. Sounds great, doesn't it? However, if you delve a bit deeper, you will see its flaws. Despite the huge boost in crit damage, that 30-second cooldown ensures that you will only have Widsith's effect once every other burst. This makes this weapon's power drop off heavily after you proc the effect the first time. While the buff is substantial, you will only have it for a 10-second window. If you mess up, you might not fully utilize it. If you don't mess up, you might have to alter your rotations to the point that you are losing DPS anyway. And at the end of the day, its damage potential decreases because of that downtime. The Widsith truly shines in its niche, one-shot comps or one-rotation comps. If you are a player that is already thinking of that or can do that already, then this video from the start wasn't catered for you. So, why Hakushin Ring for Yae Miko? One word: consistency. Hakushin Ring has a no-nonsense effect that procs anytime you do an electrocharge reaction. This means no fiddling around with the rotations, worrying if you still have Widsith's buff by the time you get to Yae's burst, or whether or not you have the right buff active in the first place. The ER substat, while not boosting damage, helps in burst uptime. With Widsith, you will have to have immense amounts of ER in order to burst consistently. Still, you wouldn't even have the full buffs anyway. With Hakushin Ring, ER requirements are user met, you burst more often, and over the course of multiple rotations, you will have a comparable damage to Widsith. The Widsith's low are really low, while its highs are really high. Hakushin provides a level of compiness and consistency that, if Zhongli's shield is anything to go by, that is what is sought after by most players today. If you want to see this foxy lady burst more often and deal more consistent damage, then Hakushin Ring is the best choice. If you only care about damage per screenshot or just plain old big PP damage, then Widsith is the choice. So tell me what you think down below. Is Hakushin Ring better than Widsith for you? Or is it the other way around? Or better yet, come at me at twitch.tv/DejimaMan, where I stream Genshin almost every day. As usual, this is our parting. Farewell.